So dear students, in this lecture we'll discuss about inefficiency in mobile IP. So communication involving mobile IP can be inefficient. The inefficiency can be severe or moderate. Then there is one called as double crossing. This double crossing which is also known as 2x, it is severe case. Whereas there is one more called triangle routing or dogleg routing, which is moderate case. Okay, severe case is double crossing or 2x. Moderate case is triangle routing or dogleg routing. So we'll see the double crossing. When it has been shown here, double crossing, you can see two paths now at a time, labeled 1 and 2, double crossing. So you can see home agent, there is one line coming to home agent, one going to mobile host from home agent, and it has been shown path 1 2, which is double crossing. So this occurs when a remote host communicates with a mobile host that has moved to the same network or site as the remote host. Then, when the mobile host sends a packet to the remote host, there is no inefficiency. Communication is local. When the remote host sends a packet to the mobile host, however, the packet crosses the internet twice. So you can see the packet is crossing the internet twice. This is the internet. The packet, you can see it is crossing this internet twice. 1 and 2 lines have been shown, crossing the internet twice. So as a computer, or since a computer usually communicates with other local computers, which is called principle of locality, the inefficiency from double crossing is significant. Now we'll see about triangle routing. What is this triangle routing? We'll see. This triangle routing, which is less severe case, occurs when the remote host communicates with a mobile host that is not attached to the same network or site as the mobile host. Then when the mobile host sends a packet to the remote host, there is no inefficiency. When the remote host sends a packet to the mobile host, however, the packet goes from the remote host to the home agent and then to the mobile host. Packet travels the two sides of a triangle instead of just one side. So you can see the packet travels the two sides of a triangle. You can see a triangle 1 2, here one dashed line has been shown. So 1 2 3 represents a triangle. The packet travels the two sides of a triangle. You can see one is one side of a triangle, another two is another side of a triangle instead of just one side. Then what is the solution to this? What is the solution to this problems? So that is inefficiency. So to inefficiency is for remote host to bind the care of address to the home address of a mobile host. So is to bind the care of address to the home address of a mobile host. For example, when a home agent receives the first packet for a mobile host, it forwards the packet to the foreign agent. So when a home agent receives a first packet for a mobile host, it forwards the packet to the foreign agent. It could also send an update binding packet to the remote host. It could also send an update binding packet to the remote host so that the future packets to this host should be sent to the care of address. so that the future packets to this host should be sent to the care of address. Remote host can keep this information in a cache. So the problem with this strategy is cache becomes cache entry becomes outdated once the mobile host moves. Home agent needs to send a warning packet to the remote host to inform it of the change. To inform it of the change. Next, we'll see about unicast routing. Unicast routing. So we'll see about unicast routing. So first we'll go to the introduction. This unicast routing in the internet with a large number of routers and a huge number of hosts. This can be done easily by using hierarchical routing in several steps using different routing algorithms. Then what is a general concept? Unicast routing in an internetwork made of networks connected by routers. Then we can apply them to the internet using hierarchical routing. So we'll see what is a general idea. In unicast routing, a packet is routed hop by hop from its source to its destination by the help of forwarding tables. The source host needs no forwarding table because it delivers its packet to the default router in its local network. The destination host needs no forwarding table either because it receives a packet from its default router in its local network. This means that only the routers that glue together the networks in the internet need forwarding tables. Routing a packet from its source to its destination means routing a packet from a source router to a destination router. A packet needs to visit the source and destination routers. Question is, what other routers a packet should visit? A packet travels from the source to the destination through several routes. Then there is a need to determine in which route the packet should take. So now we'll see an internet as a graph. Internet as a graph. So an internet, it can be modeled as a graph to find the best route. Then what is this graph in computer science? It should be known to us. So it is a set of nodes and edges, that is lines that connect the nodes. Then how to model internet as a graph? So whatever are the router, each router is thought of as a node and each network between a pair of routers as an edge. Then internet can be modeled as a weighted graph in which each edge is associated with a cost. If a weighted graph is used to represent a geographical area, the nodes can be cities and the edges can be roads connecting the cities. The weights where here is a distance between cities. In routing, however, the cost of an edge has a different interpretation in different routing protocols. We assume that there is a cost associated with each edge. The cost is infinity if there is no edge between the nodes. So this diagram is going to show how internet is modeled as a graph. You can see internet and its graphical representation. So each router is thought of as a node and each network between a pair of routers as an edge. Each network between a pair of routers as an edge. You can see the edge is shown by this line. Edge and routers will be shown by nodes. So nodes labeled as A, B, C, D, E, F, G are the nodes. Edges have been numbered as, you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 the edges. Okay, is it clear? Edge. So this internet can be modeled as a weighted graph in which each edge is associated with a cost. If a weighted graph is used to represent a geographical area, the nodes can be cities and the edges can be roads connecting the cities. The weights where here is a distance. In routing, however, the cost of an edge has a different interpretation in different routing protocols. So we assume that there is a cost associated with each edge. The cost is infinity if there is no edge between the nodes. Next we'll go for least cost routing. Least cost routing. Least cost routing. One of the way to interpret the best route from the source router to the destination router is to find the least cost between the two when an internet is modeled as a weighted graph. So is to find the least cost between the two when an internet is modeled as a weighted graph. That is, the source router chooses a route to the destination router in such a way that the total cost for the route is the least cost among all possible routes. So the best route between A and E. So here you can see the best cost between A and E. So here it has been shown the best cost between, the best route between A and E is ABE. ABE with the cost of 6. How it is cost of 6? 2 plus 4. ABE 2 plus 4 6. Each router needs to find the least cost route between itself and all other routers to be able to route a packet using this criteria. So we'll see the diagram. Least cost trees. So in least cost trees, if there are n routers in an internet, then there are n minus 1 least cost paths from each router to any other router. So if there are n routers in a internet, there are n minus 1 least cost paths from each router to any other router. This means we need n into n minus 1 least cost paths for the whole internet. So we have only 10 routers in a internet. We'll consider that we have only 10 routers in a internet. We need 90 least cost paths. 19 means how? 10 into 10 minus 1. 10 into 10 minus 1 is 10 into 9 is 90. Okay, 90 least cost path. So all of the paths is combined in a least cost tree. A least cost tree is a tree with the source router as the root. So with the source router as the root that spans the whole graph, visits all other nodes, and in which the path between the root and any other node is the shortest. So in this way we can have only one shortest path tree for each node. We have n least cost trees for the whole internet. So this, whatever is this figure, shows the 7 least cost trees for the internet. The least cost trees for a weighted graph can have several properties if they are created using consistent criteria. So you can see there are 7 least cost trees. For the internet. So root of the tree is shown like darken circle, intermediate or end node is shown, total cost for the from the root. So how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Is it clear? Now, so what I told, the least cost trees for a weighted graph can have several properties if they are created using consistent criteria. So we'll see those criteria. 1. The least cost root from x to y in x tree is the inverse of the least cost root from y to x in y tree. The cost in both directions is the same. For example, in above figure, the root from a to f in a tree is abef. The root from a to f in a tree is abf. So ABEF, you can see the root from A to F is ABEF. Okay. ABEF. But the root from F to A in F tree is FEBA. FEBA, which is inverse of the first root. So first root is ABEF from A to F. From F to A is FEBA, which is inverse of the first root. The cost is 8 in each case. The cost is 8 in each case. Second one, instead of traveling from x to z using x tree, we can travel from x to y using x tree and continue from y to z using y tree. For example, we can go from a to g in a tree using the root a, b, e, f, g. We can also go from a to e in a tree a, b, e, and then continue in e tree using the root e, f, g. Combination of the two roots in the second case is the same root as in the first case. Cost in first case is 9. Cost in second case is also 9. 6 plus 3. Okay. So, next we'll see about routing algorithms. So, in the past, several routing algorithms have been designed. The differences between these methods are in the way they interpret the least cost and the way they create the least cost tree for each node. So what I told, we'll discuss about routing algorithms. In the past, several routing algorithms have been designed. The differences between these methods are in the way they interpret the least cost and the way they create the least cost tree for each node. Distance vector routing, which is DV routing. The distance vector DV routing uses the goal that we discussed in the introduction to find the best route. Okay, to find the best route. So in this distance vector routing algorithm, in this distance vector routing, each node creates its own least cost tree with rudimentary information it has about its immediate neighbors. So each node creates its own least cost tree with rudimentary information it has about its immediate neighbors. The incomplete trees are exchanged between immediate neighbors to make the trees more and more complete and to represent the whole internet. In distance vector routing, a router continuously tells all of its neighbor what it knows about the whole internet. Least cost trees can be combined to make complete ones. We need to discuss two important topics. What are those? Bellman-Ford equation. Second one is concept of distance vector. So we'll see Bellman-Ford equation. So distance vector routing, graphical idea, Bellman-Ford equation. So it is considered that the heart of distance vector routing is a famous Bellman-Ford equation. So whatever is a Bellman-Ford equation, it is used to find the least cost, that is shortest distance between a source node X and a destination node Y through some intermediary nodes A, B, C, when the cost between the source and the intermediary nodes and the least cost between intermediary nodes and the destination are given, Dij is the shortest distance. Dij is the distance shortest distance, and Cij is the cost between nodes I and j. Dxy is equal to min of Cxa plus Day, Cxb plus Dby, Cxc plus Dcy. In distance vector routing, normally we want to update the existing least cost with a least cost through intermediary node. So Dij is the shortest distance and Cij is the cost between nodes I and j. Dxy is given by minimum of dxy comma cxz plus dzy. Bellman-Ford equation enables us to build a new least cost path from previously established least cost paths. So we can think of A to Y, B to Y and C to Y as previously established least cost path and X to Y as a new least cost path. So is it clear? Okay. This equation can be thought of as the builders of new least cost tree from previously established least cost trees if we use the equation repeatedly. The use of this equation in distance vector routing is a witness that this method also uses least cost trees. It may use in background. It may use in background. So we use Bellman-Ford equation and the concept of distance vector to build least cost path for each node in distance vector routing. But first we need to discuss the concept of a distance vector. So you can see graphical idea behind this Bellman-Ford equation. Day, dby, dcy, cxa, cxb, cxc, xy, dxy, cxz dxy. So in next lecture I'll be taking about distance vectors.